Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another exciting edition of the program, ASHFORD GARLEY Live. Hey, man, I know some heard the name, some heard people talk about them. You've gotten the opportunity tonight. It feels great to be back, following a little short little road trip. It just doesn't get any better, I visited 5 states last week, and of course, I had a blast. From Detroit to Indiana, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia. And I caught up with some friends that I haven't seen in a long time, and of course, we had a blast. And I just want to take some time out to say a big thank you to some of my longtime friends that were very hospitable while in Georgia. This is Sylvester Bassi, Wilson Reeves, Alvin, Yumpood and her husband, Michael Bobby Bold, and the rest of the folks. But as we begin the program tonight, folks, I just want to be a little appreciative tonight. Sometimes in life you do things and you forget that you've done some things. And the people you do these things for, depending on who they are, they will come back and say thank you. And in this case, while in Georgia last week, my friend and brother just called me up and said, Ashford, I just want to appreciate you for what you did for me, man. I said, what are you talking about? He said, my man, you did some things for me when you were in Liberia. I said, what is it? He said, I need your bank account information. I want to send you a little something. And I was a little hesitant. I didn't want to give him my banking information, But he meant well. And then he went further to say, hey, do they have Western Union? I said, but Western Union is everywhere, So he said, I will send you a little something. So this guy went to Western Union and sent me the control number. I'm thinking this boy was going to just let me say, Ashford, get a little $50 or a little $100 for your little drink. So I saw the 1, then I saw the 0. This boy actually sent me $1,000. I'm like, what? What did I do to deserve this? And he said, Ashford, you remember when you went to Liberia in 2018? I said, yes. He said, you helped me get my land. And today, the land is clean. I got a little hut on the land now. And this is something I can call my own property. When you went to do some other things, you took time out and went. And just because of that, I just want to say thank you, Ashford. I'm not going to call his name because he doesn't want me to call it. Up to date, I have not even picked up the money because I'm like, you know what? Maybe he's going to change his mind. But this boy is serious. He calls every day. Have you picking up the money, Ashford? I'm like, wow. And I didn't even think about it that because when I was running after the lane, he was giving me small little things, for gas and stuff like that. But for him to just call on Sunday of last week, the day before the Labor Day, and say, Ashford, I just want to bless you with this $1,000. I'm like, wow. It was something as a donation to Breach Radio. I'm like, wow. So I got home this afternoon after I picked up my son from school. Then opened the mail, made a check addressed to Breach Radio as a donation. I'm the where all of this is coming from, But sometimes when you do things, don't expect to get paid in return. Just do it and let it go. There are others that will look back and say thank you. There are others that wouldn't. But don't let it bother you. Continue being you. Just do what you have to do. And God will multiply. Now to bore you with my story, folks. This week is a very sad week for me. 30 years ago, this week, my family members were murdered. My father, Jimmy Garley, Samuel Yone, Alfred Yone, Peter Thomas, Sam Tory, David Double, Thomas Koyinya, Sammy Fale, Gibson Temple. They were all murdered on the same day. They happened to be at a Freeport, and Ekuma wanted to take them to Freetown. So Prince Johnson came and instructed his men and took them to his base. They slaughtered them like chicken and threw them in the river 30 years ago, this week. May the souls rest in peace. And the souls of all of those that the late Samuel Doe murdered You see, power and greed can do a lot of things. Though came to power, his friends were there within. Because of greed, they started fussing. Everybody wanted to be the boss. They started killing each other. And Doe managed to execute most of his friends, best friends, went after their family members. I killed them. And I want their souls to rest in peace as well. Why did we fight the war? Liberia has not changed. We are still where we were many decades ago. Folks, President George Weah, I have a little quick message for you. President Weah, step up the leadership responsibility. We should be practicing democracy. We should not be selective when it comes to who can go where and who doesn't. This is just not fair, President Weah. December 8th, we have a huge election coming. Some will be senators, some will be out of job. But we have to be fair as to who goes where and who doesn't. This country belongs to all of us. Mr. Thomas Fowler wants to be senator of Montserrat County. I've seen Thomas Fowler, the likes of Samuel Toy, Akaras Gray, Nathaniel McGill. All these people go and campaign multiple times a day. They go everywhere they want to go. Nobody bothers them. Senator Darius Dillon wants to retain his seat. But he shows up to places. In some instances, he gets attacked. Mr. President, you are the father of the land. It's time to speak. You want to reclaim Montserrat. You have the people on your side. You have the money to do so. Let us be fair about this. Having said that, to my friend Darius Dillon, sometimes the book people say, engage your brain before you put your mouth in gear. Engage your brain before you put your mouth in gear. And don't allow your mouth to write a check that your butt can cash. Don't allow your mouth to write a check that your butt can cash. Freedom of speech doesn't mean you should threaten the life of the presidency. Your statement last evening on the social media, Darius Dillon, was irresponsible and reckless. You want to throw stone at the convoy of the president? You want to throw stone at the home of the president? Is that freedom of speech? Why are we trying to endanger the lives of innocent people? This is not politics, folks. You have to be matured about this politics. You have to be responsible about this politics. And after you say all of those things, you come back the next day and say you want to retract your statement? You ain't got no balls. What were you depending on? And I would be surprised if the NSA doesn't call you in for questioning. Because the reckless and very irresponsible statement you made last night were treasonable. You can't say those kind of things. Yes, President Weah is not doing things to your expectation, but that does not mean you should plan to attack the convoy of the president. You know what you're talking about? You should plan to attack the home of the president. Do you know what you were talking about? And you didn't want to stop there. You started calling names. You called this young man name and said the man said you have sensitive information from the top. You didn't want to call his station name. You called the man's government name. That this man will be afraid to go to Liberia. And let me tell you, this is not the first time I'm going to say this. There are some people who really love George Weah, who are on steroids for George Weah. Most of the things that happen, George Weah does not know about these things. There are people who just so love this man and feel that that man cannot do anything wrong. So when you say something derogatory about this man, they will come after you. Was it George Weah that told the people to go after you and attack you? Where are your facts? My people, we've got to be very careful how we do the politics in here. We have to be careful. Only to find out that after you said that, then other people were saying, oh, let us raise money for the man to strengthen his security. You see people last night, give him money, give him money, give him money. Y'all raise some money? How much y'all got? 10,000? Okay, I'll retry my statement tomorrow. Let me just add my own there now, yeah? So, our Liberian people have to wake up. Look, I understand this Liberian politics. And I am just not going to spend my money because people come and make some statement that they can't back up. If our country should move forward, you people have got to be sincere. There's a big trouble in the opposition. They don't like each other. Benanayure does not like Alice Cummings. Cummings are close to one eye when you're dealing with Benanayure. You think Joseph Boyka wants to see Alexander Cummings become president? You think Yomdi Kanga wants to see Alexander Cummings become president? When it comes for contribution within the CPP, Cummings is there to pick up the tab. The Uriel, the Boycott, the Yomdi, they're all sitting there. Look, I'm going to say this. Alexander Cummings. Please do something good with your money. The people that you decided to work with, they are not in your interest. They don't like you. They don't like you. Where is the CPP with the final draft of the framework? Y'all did a draft that was very discriminatory. Y'all went back. Y'all never brought the final draft as to how y'all want to lead this country. I don't trust these people today. I don't trust them tomorrow. Hell yeah, I'm pissed off the way President Weah is running my country. But who is any better at this time than President Weah? Y'all sit down here, people come, they open their big mouths and give you sweet talk. And after you work so hard, you take your money and go spend it on them. There are some of you on here, just how people love George Weah. There are some of you on here who said, whether the boy kill somebody, I will still support this boy because of your hate for George Weah. Listen, George Weah is blessed to be the president of Liberia. And there's nothing we can do. There's nothing anybody can do about this. He's the only person that can make himself unpopular. You should be working on how to peacefully unsee George Weah. Today, my children don't have grandparents. I don't know where my parents don't have graves. My uncles don't have graves. And you're still preaching hate and war messages around here? Are you serious? Are you serious? Where are we going with this? I am not going there with. I am not. I am not. Again, don't allow. I will leave you on this. Don't allow your mouth to write a check that your butt can catch, and engage your brain before putting your mouth in gear. Folks, this is the medicine of the microphone. The golden voice of Liberia. The Now You Know Me Garley. I'm ASHFORD GARLEY, y'all. Welcome to the show. These days, everything seems difficult in Liberia. Traveling to Monrovia, buying things, and even getting around town. But one thing stands up above the rest, and finding a perfect place to stay. Whether you live in the United States or Liberia, OBG Real Estate Company is your best option for buying, building, or listing your home in Liberia. With over $25 million in insurance on our business, you can sleep at night knowing when you buy or rent a property in Liberia. With OBG Real Estate, you will have peace of mind and sleep at night. For more information, please contact OBG Real Estate at 810-333-3955 or 810-986-7089. We can also be reached at otavius@yahoo.com. But hey, broadcast syndication is just the easiest way to reach the entire country. Join Bridge Radio Africa in collaboration with Super FM 95.5, Super TV Channel 10, and Joy FM 101.5 for ASHFORD GARLEY Live. Chat with the newsmakers, businesses, and social organizations. Starting Monday, September 21st, the program comes on Mondays and Wednesdays, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Liberian Time, with the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of Liberia. ASHFORD the Giant, the Now You Know Me Garley. That's ASHFORD GARLEY Live on Bridge Radio Africa in collaboration with Super FM 95.5, Super TV Channel 10, and Joy FM 101.5. Broadcast syndication is in full effect. This is not a game. Not for no. That Now You Know Me. And that's right, folks. Once again, we'd like to say hello and welcome back to the show. Tonight we have a special guest. The name is DEHPUE Zoor. He's former government official, the former deputy minister of the Foreign Affairs Ministry for International Corporation, and he's our guest tonight. We are going to have a little conversation. So please join me in as we welcome him tonight. You might just want to please unmute your microphone, Chief, and welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. I know my grandson was causing us to unmute it. Thank you.
Yeah, but man, how's everything? How was the weekend?
It was great. It's good to be here. Always, weekend was nice. Spending time with family, and always now I have to take care of my grandson, so it's good.
Wow, what? Tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into this.
Oh, I'm a Liberian, and presently I'm a private citizen. Established a small NGO called Partnership for Sustainable Development Liberia.
Mm-hmm.
And but prior to that, I actually acquired my education at UL and completed 2001, and came here in the United States in 2002. Did my graduate studies, and was fortunate to have gotten a contract with African Capacity Building Foundation, and went to Liberia and worked there with the Ministry of Planning for some years. And after 6 years, and while making my way to come back to the USA, I found an opportunity, and a colleague of mine had just made a nomination for me to serve in the government. And again, I didn't like to be in the public domain, but later on, someone advised us, said, no, you cannot be appointed and resign, but you have to accept it. So I took advantage of that and served for 4 years, from 2014 to 2018. And since then, I've been going in and out, here in the United States and go back home. I also have I do consultancy. As a matter of fact, I was one of those. I wrote the PROCO agenda, to be specific, the economic pillar, jobs and economic pillar. So, which I saw as a great opportunity to contribute to my country. And right now, I'm still doing some contract on the side for UNDP and other things. There's need for it for the country, so that's what I do.
Well, there are trending, troubling national events, which are mind-boggling, and we'd like to get your views. Let's look at Liberia within the Mano River Union and the ECOWAS. How well is Liberia doing amongst its neighbors in terms of the economy, basic services, and corruption?
Friendly speaking, I think some years back in the 90s, first of all, before I proceed, I just want to say I have my sympathy for the story you told about your parents. I know all of us were affected by the war. When you said it, I actually felt the emotion right here, because I lost my bigger brother, my senior brother, who was a breadwinner for the family in the same process in 1990. And I imagine that, in fact, that led to my mother having stroke, and she also passed. So it's like, everyone got affected. And I know the Yoni family, I worked with them in New Hampshire, large group in New Hampshire. Myself used to be together there. So I know why it is, and also know many of the Gallo family from New Hampshire. So I know. So it's good for all of us to reflect on these past ugly things and make some correction and see how best we can improve our country.
Thank you.
Now, one thing that is important now is that Liberia, as a founding member of MRU and also ECOWAS, historically played a significant role. And you will imagine that most decisions made those days were actually chaired by Liberia. Veteran diplomat like T. and Eastman, he narrated his story to me when I was a young man. And he chaired all of the committee in establishing the MRU, even the ECOWAS. Unfortunately, we went down during the war, but after the Civil War, one thing that the administration of Madam Sally did during her first regime was to see how best to reconnect with the neighboring countries, because the Civil War had its own negative part of it, because the war that came from Liberia went to Cote d'Ivoire, it also went to Sierra Leone, and Guinea was also having crisis. Almost Guinea was going to a crisis. So that itself, there was a need for her to build relationship with the neighbors, and that really happened. And Liberia gained its status, paid some of the membership dues. And at the time, I wasn't in government anyway, but I read all of these records. And one thing that remained clear is that despite our challenges, I would say that ECOWAS remained a strong country. In fact, it was ECOWAS that rescued us as a nation when we were destroying ourselves. So that itself is something that we have to recognize, the sub-region. And our membership, that's one of the benefits we also got. And there are more benefits we still have in the package to come. In fact, right now, I would say we are benefiting from ECOWAS because we have one of our young Liberians as a commissioner at ECOWAS as well. So, but in terms of the performance of the economy, we are not doing well. We are very, in terms of growth, we are in negative despite the COVID. We are the only country in the sub-region that are growing negative digit. In terms of inflation, we are very high. But I know that the constraint didn't just start today. It had been something that started a year before Madam Sally left from power. But I think what needed to have been done was to look at some of the challenges that were faced by the past administration on how to recalibrate and put into place, which I think was done brilliantly in the PAPD and in the way forward. But it's just left for the government to take action and implement those plans. So,
but in your opening statement, you said you were part of the proper agenda for development planning. And now, with your expertise as an economist, what do you think needs to be done now to help strengthen our economy in Liberia?
What can be done now? The first thing is that the president, I think he made a very good visionary statement when he was taking over. He said that he will make Liberia into only an economy, and he will encourage domestic production. And those are some of the key issues that were highlighted and we also consider as key priorities in the national plan. So what is important for the government to do is to actually invest in terms of domestic production. For example, Liberia has its own advantage in agriculture. Liberia is a growing economy. What can we do to ensure that we encourage food production, domestic production in terms of food, even pepper, beans? As we see now, the global market is almost at a standstill. India, that we depend on, most of the countries that we actually imported rice from themselves are faced with challenge. So we need to look from within and see how best we can invest our resources in there. Private sector development should be one of the major drivers right now. The focus should be giving opportunity to individuals, Liberian and non-Liberians, to invest in the economy. Giving some, even though tax breaks being given, making sure that we give people tax breaks and giving them some incentive to create jobs for our people. I know government job is something that most people depend on, but I think they just assume that working for government will be the last option for young people who are yet to graduate from college. We have many people who did agriculture. It's important for us to have an agriculture bank that will be able to provide lending and financing opportunity for people who want to be farm. And you also want to create opportunity for the young people. The skill training program that we had for the young people in the past administration, they still have the skill. We see there's a need for us to see how best put these skills into use by providing loan opportunity for young people. I think it's a difficult task, but it requires the right intervention and practical approach. For example, I said recently to the some official at Ministry of Finance, like for example, the 30 million that recently given for COVID intervention. I know they talk about purchasing rights, and I think that that decision economically was somehow, unfortunate for them to have made a decision. Politically, it was good so that Liberian people hear that, oh, the president giving us rights. But it's just short-term intervention right there. Were you to take 10 million of the 30 million and just pump it into agriculture, and for farmers in 6-month period, I believe that you'll have enough production taking place in the economy. You just say people produce beans or people produce pepper, we won't be importing pepper from Guinea. We will not be bringing onion from Malay and Sierra Leone. We will not be bringing some of these things from abroad. So these are the quick intervention that we could do in the economy. Besides that, you could stimulate local production. For example, the transportation industry. One of the challenging things that we have in there is that marketers don't even have reliable transportation. Even those who are traveling, commuting between, let's say, Southeast to Monrovia, you can only make it with 4-way vehicle, rear durable trucks. Government could just go, since the road is very bad, you can now help the farmers by investing into rear durable trucks that can transport their market from farm everywhere in the Southeast, even say in Lofa, all these places, to reduce the cost on the farmer. So there's simple things you could do with the money and just invest in the locally. You could also look at, they could consider that's a tractor rental for farmers and say you buy equipment rental for farmers. The 30 million is a huge sum of money that you can do. You can do a lot with it. But again, the question was we needed to intervene for COVID response, and we had to buy rice. So there are some simple things that we can do to help our economy to grow.
Now, personally, what have you done in terms of reaching out to this administration with your expertise as economists? All right, what have you done, to put up some of the proposals as to what we need to take our country in another direction? Because as it stands now, there's no investment coming into the country.
I think
who are still employed, Yeah, go ahead.
I just said that I was part of the preparation of the PAPD, and I also made my service available to the government to make sure that whatever it requires for me to do. And interestingly, I'm a personally friendly with almost all the guys in the government. So if there's a concern, what I usually do like that is not to be in the public or to be speaking on Facebook, but as a text, call, and say, look, why can't we do it the other way? But again, it's a policy decision. It depends on the policy maker on how he looks at it. But these recommendations, just as I said right now, I have told some of the policy makers that, look, these are the simple things we can do now instead of all looking outside. Because realistically, even the United States economy, our trading partner, United States, China, South Korea, all of them, they are facing serious challenge. So the impact will be very much high on Liberia. Even our neighboring country, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, they are going through a lot. But what they decide to do is to also focus on their domestic economy. Ghana, the rest of them, they are doing that. They are focusing more on agriculture production. In fact, last week I was reading about the cocoa production. Cote d'Ivoire actually got up to 1.3 billion when they negotiated the farm gate price for cocoa market, Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana. Even though in terms of production, they are producing raw material. And as chocolate price increases, Europe and other people make huge sum of money. But Cote d'Ivoire stays strong. Despite the situation, they stay strong. Ghana is still strong. So why can't we do the same thing? We are bordering Cote d'Ivoire, cocoa production, 2-3 years production of cocoa now, you can get a better yield. Why can't we go into that? So we had the first money, 25 million. I think these are some of the things we need to be looking at. Very practical issue. It's not going to be something difficult if you allow farmer cooperative to go into meeting with private banks. You're not giving it to individual, but you give it to commercial banks, and they lend to private individual or cooperative. I think the farmers will be excited and they will produce more, and Liberia will actually stand on its own instead of relying more on imports.
Well, Liberia's presence and participation in the Committee of Nations is very vital. Given that we are the oldest independent country in Africa, of late we have learned of the suspension of Liberia's voting rights by the African Union due to the country's failure to pay its dues. What is the magnitude of this suspension for our country?
One of the things that we need to look at is that this is obvious in most of the international organizations. Liberia went through this before during a war when we didn't pay our membership dues. Most of the organizations were suspended. We couldn't speak on the floor. Even if you were used to send delegation, they were now, they didn't have voting rights. And these rights were restored after making negotiation and payment towards these institutions. But for the African Union, OAU, which historically was established in Liberia, even though they got a Morocco group and a Monrovia-based group, but we think that Liberia played a cardinal role. So during our administration, when I took over as the deputy minister, one of the assistant minister first, one of the things that I did as a student of international development was to actually look at some of the things we've done and how do we benefit? Because realistically, being a part of international organization is one thing, and benefiting from other incentive there is another thing. So we have to review this paper and make recommendation to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which obviously were lifted to Madam President. And we were able to clear most of our area and to play some active role. For the African Union, we actually have an important role last minute of time, because one of the major committee there was the Peace and Security Council Committee, which made decision. We could not chair that because we didn't ratify the protocol, and we had to make sure we follow up on that, and we did it, and Liberia was actually considered. And up to 2016, we cleared our area we were covering. 2017, January, everything was clear, and Liberia chaired the Peace and Security Council. In fact, the current ambassador, Liberian ambassador to Washington, D.C., George Patton was ambassador to AU at the time. And it was a great opportunity for him to have chaired the Peace and Security Council. And when President Weah took over, I think it was the end of his Ambassador Patton term when President Weah went there. It was a very good opportunity for us. But what is happening there is that AU, unlike the way they have done business in the past, President Paul Kagame actually chaired what we call AU Reform Committee. And he's a very proactive leader. What he decided to do is that instead of AU relying solely on donor funding, he wants for African countries to become very responsible in financing their own activity. So the membership, the access contribution they have become a real mandate that member states should make sure they pay their access contribution. Is that you are a member of an organization, they say if you are due paying member, will be given opportunity to speak. So if you don't pay your dues, you will not speak on the floor. So they have actually come up with a new rule. In fact, 2018 January, they made a decision. In November 2018, they came up with the new order that all member states, before going for, because there are two conventions annually, one in January, another one in July. But they have made it mandatory that member states should pay 50% of their due every year. At least 50%. If you cannot clear, but you must pay 50% annual due. And they have set up penalties for that. If you have to pay up to 50%, you will not be eligible to, in fact, participate in all the things that have to be election monitoring, in other conferences, they will not allow you. So as a result, members are now paying the 50% at general conferences. But Liberia, I know these are, to just backtrack a little bit, these are some of the challenges that I always feel for President Weah, because I think the problem he faced was that the transition was very hastily done. Yes. I made this recommendation to my colleagues when they were coming. I told them, why can't you guys do the transition for 90 days? Ministers proper be given 2 weeks or 30 days to clear their decks with their incoming minister. You just let the person come, be making sure you clear the decks, giving the report. And you got 60 days for deputy ministers to also work with the other appointees, because they will go to confirmation hearing. As the people going for confirmation hearing, they are having time to engage their counterpart or their colleague on the transition committee. But again, immediately after inauguration, everyone will declare out, and they ask personnel director to take over. So some people, we did turn over, some people might not have given detail, and some of the things that are outstanding issue, you know, when you do a turnover, you look at key outstanding issue that got short time, you say timeline. Some people might not have done it, or some people might have done it, but the successor might not have looked at some of these things. So it created hurdles. So I think from that, the issue of AU was not highlighted that, look, you have to now pay your membership due before you speak or before you participate. So they got a second penalty they also have, the AU said, is that if you don't pay for a year, obviously what they're going to do now is like it's like a penalty which is beyond. They will tell you clearly that, look, we consider you as a member, but we are suspending other activities of yours. So Liberia had not paid from January 2018 to January 2020, 3 years. Obviously, if the penalty is that 2 years maximum and you're going 3 years, you don't expect the institution to just keep it.
Why would you attribute Liberia for not being able to pay? You know, you have a finance minister who just bragged about surplus. You know, I know earlier you said it happened before, but during the war, we know during the war, Liberia was in the complete anarchy. You know, and then we had President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's government. Now we have George, you just said since 2018, Liberia has not been current. What is the magnitude of what would you then say that this is? Would you then say this is like the negligence on the part of the Liberian government? We just had a finance minister who just bragged about the economy having some surpluses.
Yes, realistically, I don't know what the first thing that there is that the government need to look at some priority, but we have to look at the international organization as priority. Ministry of Foreign Affairs need to make a case to the Ministry of Finance that, look, we have to be in good standing in this organization before we speak. If there have been warning, the first thing is to send a warning letter with your request of Ministry of Finance to know that, look, we have been warned to pay our dues. So I guess they might have done it, and because of some other, budgetary constraint, they might not have paid. But realistically, if they have paid 50% annually, we won't have received a suspension letter. Because we're 3 years without payment. That's why we received a suspension. But again, that doesn't mean that it cannot be reversed. I'm told that they just made a payment of $800,000 out of the 1.6. It means they pay 50% of that money, the 3 years that we owe. So that means that we can now lift our flag and see how best to make representation. But interestingly, one of the things that I personally have been disappointed is that President Weah had not appointed ambassador to the AU since Ambassador Patton left. And the first thing there is that I think it shows some signal to the people that you don't have, first of all, you're not paying dues, then you're not sending ambassador. There was something wrong. The foreign minister should have made it his duty to let the president know that AU is very much important. With that, that's if you can be sending someone to UN, the first thing African continent priority should be number one. First, you should say ECOWAS. In fact, MRU. From MRU, you go to ECOWAS. ECOWAS to EU. EU, we go to United Nations. So it is good for you to look at your continent first and see, because right now what the African Union has done is to make sure that they speak with one voice. Most of the issues that you see, they talk about African Committee, whether Europe or America, once the African Committee stand up to speak, the people see Africa as a giant. So we didn't really have time in the past, but it's about time now that we really prioritize AU. So it's good for them to, in fact, my encouragement to them now is to appoint someone to AU as soon as possible. It's better for us to have an ambassador there. That would be very good. Because they raise flair. Because most of the things that is discussed at the United Nations in New York also come from AU. And they make decisions there and send it to the United Nations. So your regional organization, if you're not represented at your regional organization, decisions that are made by countries, you completely remain out of it. So it is very much important.
Well, folks, if you're just joining us tonight, we have with us the Honorable DEHPUE Wazua. He's the former Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's also an economist. He's our special guest tonight. With that said, just before we continue, in just a little bit at 9 p.m., we're going to open up the telephone lines. But let us just take a word from some of our donors, those who believe in the types of what we do here on a daily basis. These days, everything seems difficult in Liberia. Traveling to Monrovia, buying things, and even getting around town. But one thing stands up above the rest, and finding a perfect place to stay. Whether you live in the United States or Liberia, OBG Real Estate Company is your best option for buying, building, or listing your home in Liberia. With over $25 million in insurance on our business, you can sleep at night knowing when you buy or rent a property in Liberia. With OBG Real Estate, you will have peace of mind and sleep at night. For more information, please contact OBG Real Estate at 810-333-3955 or 810-986-7089. We can also be reached at otovius@yahoo.com. But broadcast syndication is just the easiest way to reach the entire country. Join Bridge Radio Africa in collaboration with Super FM 95.5, Super TV Channel 10, and Joy FM 101.5 for ASHFORD GARLEY Live. Chat with the newsmakers, businesses, and social organizations. Starting Monday, September 21st, the program comes on Mondays and Wednesdays, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Liberian Time, with the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of Liberia. ASHFORD the Giant, the Now You Know Me Garley. That's ASHFORD GARLEY Live on Bridge Radio Africa in collaboration with Super FM 95.5, Super TV Channel 10, and Joy FM 101.5. Broadcast syndication is in full effect. This is not a game. Not for no. That Now You Know Me. Okay, we're back at it. Tonight we have with us the Honorable DEHPUE Zua. Okay. Yeah. Now, DEHPUE, let me ask you this. Have we lost our credibility with the United States? I mean, 9 ambassadors, including the U.S., scorned President Weah in a letter to immediately return unauthorized funds used by his government.
When it comes to credibility, international credibility, I don't want to believe that, because the first thing that there might be some concern raised by our partners. It doesn't mean that we have credibility problem. One of the things that happened in that communication when I read it myself was that's one of the reasons why I said the transition was hastily done. Somebody might say, oh, the people did it in the past, so let's do it. So if the people had done something in the past and you have come into office and you want to make the difference, first of all, you should learn why the thing happened and how it was done in the past. Was it good in the first place? So that issue, the first thing the Minister of Finance handled that. When the donor fund was tempted, they took some, as you say, and they paid back. But what was important there was, it was a message to the administration that financial prudence is very much important. So they work on that. In fact, as we speak, this is the reason why it is important in terms of fiscal arrangement. Ministry of Finance, in terms of budgetary expenditure, they have to look at priority issue. In the past, when I was a technician at the Ministry of Planning and working at Ministry of Finance, between Planning and Ministry of Finance, they used to have what they call cash committee, the budget committee that handled the cash. And we didn't have enough money. Whatever amount that will be raised, they have to appropriate that based on priority. So like that, it put you in check. In fact, that was a precondition for HIPPE for Liberia. So it's something that the current administration is trying to put in place right now since that incident took place, that they have a cash management committee now that they need to look at how much cash is available from revenue collection, or what are some of the donor funding available in terms of its appropriation, so that we cannot go into donor funding anymore. But one of the things that is also important there is also good for the Minister of Finance and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to always coordinate how they go about some of these things. And in terms of the Department of International Cooperation is very much crucial, it's key. In that in some countries, what they've done, some countries have done now is that they call Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, or Ministry of Foreign Affairs Economic Integration. Some countries do that because foreign ministry is not normal traditional diplomacy anymore. It's about economic development. It's about economic relation, and economic relation is very crucial to any country development. So you need to be looking at which country has economic strength, political strength. How do you relate to them? What kind of trade link you can establish? And all of these things, these are things that you need to be focusing on. So as you go ahead, some of these partners, they might have funding in the country and they don't want you to touch the funding, but the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will have to go and say, can you encourage private sector in your country to come and invest? And then you have the private sector dialogue. Foreign Ministry will be leading the private sector dialogue, along with Ministry of Finance, National Investment Commission. All of this will work together to invite people from other friendly nations to come and invest in the country. So it's very much important to work on that. So these are some of the things we need to encourage the current administration to be doing. I know the global economy is harsh, but there are some people who still want to take risks to look at some economy. And there are some countries that have a very good will, the United States, Japan, China, even in the West African region, Nigeria, Ghana, these are strong economies. We can still have trading relationship with them. Most of the banks in Liberia are owned by Nigeria and Ghana. Imagine that. If you have a financial institution working, what's about agriculture? What's about other area like commerce? Why can't we go into that? So it's better for us to look at our relationship. That's why you have the Department of International Cooperation working on, Joint Commission and all of these things, working with Cote d'Ivoire. We worked with Cote d'Ivoire before, work with Ghana, work with Guinea. And these are things that we need to be doing. So for me, I don't think that we have much issue of credibility. It's just a matter of working with the team that's on the ground, setting priority and see what to do for the country.
But if you say this is not a credibility issue, then my next question to you would be, other than shaking hands at the UN Assembly, President Weah has yet to meet with the U.S. President at the White House since he became president of Liberia. What are Liberia's foreign policy objectives?
Quite interesting. Myself, I've been concerned about that, but I don't know what are some of the intricacies involved with this. Equally so, he has a strong personal tie with the United States as a citizen or resident here. I don't think it's a difficult thing. What is important for the Minister of Foreign Affairs to do is to work on that. That the president of Liberia will be in the position to meet the president of the United States. Even the State Department will be one of the major things where I had to be the advisor to the president. I will advise him that, look, even the possibility of you meeting President Trump is not there, but it's better you meet the Secretary of State and somebody who will be in the position to have a conversation, high profile level. It's important because we've gone 3 years. It's a major concern. But for me, the reason why I don't want to see as a credibility problem is that I haven't seen strong reason to say it's not credible. The reason there is maybe they haven't been, you see, the network is another good thing in international development. You have to learn how to network. There might be some negotiation, the ambassador finding their way to talk to their colleagues, making negotiation. I mean, talking, even at the United Nations, if you cannot get to the president, maybe the ambassador for that country will be the one you discuss with to see how best you look at a strong tie. We have the ambassador Edda. She was very good in Monrovia, and she left, and her successor is on his way going. And the realistic thing to do is to see how best you start a conversation from home, or you tell your ambassador in DC, look, we have to meet this target in 6 months. You have to do this in 3 months. You have to do this so you come up with a timeline. Look, we have to meet these other world leaders and showcase whatever you have. And one of the good things that there is that first, when President Weah took over, they were having challenge of discussing what to tell people. But now you have a plan. You have a plan that is good, and the people, the partners are looking at it, trying to align their donation and their support to the country and with the plan. So all you need to do is to do a good marketing strategy, outreach in terms of lobby. In the United States, it's about lobby, to see how best we can reach to the top.
One more question, then we'll go to the telephone lines. And when we come back, we are going to dive into Liberian politics. Now, folks, if you just joined us, we have with us DEHPUE. He's our special guest tonight. If you own a business out there that you want us to create awareness for your business, just let us know. We're not asking you to pay us. All we do is ask for a little donation. In the case of Mr. Atilius Gilman, we want to say a big thank you to him for his donation. He was very generous. And he's in fact the CEO of OBG Real Estate. He's a Liberian, and he's doing such an awesome job in building homes in Liberia as well. So again, shortly we're going to go to the telephone line. But Honorable Zuo, recently the suspended passport director at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Andrew Wamplo, was acquitted that they could for lack of prosecution by the Liberian government. He was banned from the U.S. government. You were banned by the U.S. government from entering the United States. It's been rumored now that he gave Liberian passport to some tourists as part of his crimes. What do you know about this?
Frankly speaking, I have no idea. The only thing I know is that when the incident took place in Monrovia, he's a young man. Frankly speaking, when I was at the ministry, he was one of the young men in the passport division. But interestingly, he was not at the top to really know what all he was doing before. But President Weah, normally when government always look at their parties and they appointed him. But it's more troubling to me. That's one problem for me as a young Liberian, that I always tell people I refuse to get in government all along because I look at government more like service in government, more like a service in church. I came from a religious background. You know, Levi in the Bible are people who are set apart to serve. So if you are appointed by a president, you are being set apart to serve, and therefore your service should be something more credible because you represent the image of the state and the people. So for you to be appointed out of 5 million Liberians to be appointed as director of passport, that's a high opportunity for you. So you should be in a position to serve to the best of your ability. But unfortunately, I think the young man went ahead and did some things, which of course, I know that there were investigations done and the partners established that indeed such thing happened. But the problem there, he was acquitted. They dropped the charges because there was no representation. It doesn't mean he wasn't found guilty. Yes, realistically. If he's really indicted by the government of Liberia, they can investigate him and the decision will be reached. So what the United States did was to say,
and he threatened to come out to call some names. And he went further to say he's ready for his body to be found on the sidewalk. But you know something that we don't know? Are there other big hands involved in this?
But you know, sometimes I know he's a young man. He's frustrated as a young person, finding himself in a position and now being disgraced. And especially the United States government is telling you you've been banned, and not only him but his kids as well is something that is troubling.
I mean, for the United States government to come in with such a very harsh decision. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yes, I guess there were some investigation done, and that is something that might have led to that decision. Because if you are a passport director and first of all being apprehended, it was already show a sign that something is wrong, and the president himself issue an order that he should be apprehended and turned over to court, then that means obviously the United States is right to take that decision. You know, to keep the man moving in the street without being investigated is something dangerous. But one thing that I know clear is that Liberia passport is during the war, you know that Liberian passport was sold to many foreigners, and the Madam Saliva administration did its best to actually clean the system by changing the passport. In fact, one of the things that I look at, economically speaking, the decision set to change the passport, you look at it, it's a costly venture for government. But because of the image, the country image problem, they have to make the decision. And as we speak, you know, the contract that is given to the Ghanaian company, this contract is almost become a nightmare for the country. But again, it's intended for the safety of the state. So selling passport for me is actually huge. It's a heavy crime. If indeed he did, then it means that he needs to really be penalized for that.
Well, let us take our play to the folks out there. And folks, if you just joining us, it's time to go to the telephone lines. The number to call is 248-979-1718. If you're on WhatsApp, it's 313-408-8396. And I'd like to say the big hi to Oscar Dennett, a very good friend of mine. I spoke with him at the weekend when I was in Georgia. My little niece, Joanna Zulu, Philadelphia, Philip Pasua, Smith that way. And there are some on here tonight that might disagree with me. Some of the things I say. Again, that's just me. A porcupine gut, too juicy to get rid of, too bitter to swallow. You know, I don't have to all the time say things that you will like. But at the end of the day, I love Liberia. And I know you two love Liberia. And we have to say it as it is. And speaking of going to the telephone line, I have, let me see what we have on the line here tonight. We have 774 is the error call. 225. Tell us your name, please.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Tell us your name.
This is Dwalu calling from Boston. How you doing today?
Hey, Dwalu, how you doing, my brother? Welcome to the show. You're live on the radio.
We're very grateful. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Garley. Here's my issue with you today. I love your expose when you first began the show. Obviously, it's the show you're going to give whatever you think is best for the people. But I want you to understand something. You listed the past of our country's history and how dangerous it is. We all got the fact that we're not going to go listen to stories, and we understand what happened in Liberia. But you have to understand something. When you're running a campaign in a country, and you're constantly being put in a position that disadvantages you, you're going to get angry now. Like you, I'll also say unequivocally that Senator Dillon was completely wrong. And I believe that was ill-advised what he said about the president. At the end of the day, this is the president of our country. We have to make sure we keep the peace. It is crucially important that that happens. But by the same token, I expect you to go a little bit farther on the issue of the law. President, we have to come up. We have to say something about these issues. He cannot be muted about them, because if he is, it also says something. Just because you don't speak doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. When you don't speak as a president, it means you're giving consent.
And Dwello, in all fairness, from the get-go, I said President Weah should step up the leadership. He needs to come a lot more. He needs to say something. I said that.
Yeah, you did say that, but one thing is you didn't go into depth the way you went in with the law. Now, Dillon was completely wrong. As for one, I don't support that. But I got a quick question for Mr. Zwo, so I can have other people come on the line as well. Mrs. Wolf, my question to you is, I listen to you, and you're explaining all these beautiful things that I understand in depth as much as you do as well. What leadership traits did you see with President Weah, for which you believe this man was capable of leading this country? What leadership traits? Look at our country today. Every indicator, we are on the bottom. I want you to answer that question directly. What are the leadership traits you saw with President Weah, for which you believe, as an educated man, that this man was capable of running our country? Thank you so much, Mr. Garley, and thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you. Again, we have J. Gadagba Howard on the line from Michigan. Mr. Howard, hello and welcome to the show. Hello? Mr. Howard? Mr. Howard, you live on the radio. Okay, I guess.
Hello?
Hello, you're live on the radio. Please speak through the telephone. You're live on the radio. Do you have a question for Mr. Zwo?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was away from the phone, and I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Please speak through the telephone. You're live on the radio. Do you have questions for Mr. Zwo?
Just listen to the telephone, please. Listen to the telephone.
Yes, I have a.
Do not listen to the receiver, Mr. Howard. Listen to me as we speak. Listen to the telephone, because there's a little delay.
Do not listen to the receiver, Mr. Howard. Listen to me as we speak. Listen to the telephone, because there's a little delay.
Hello? Mr. Howard. Oh,
Yes,
man.
yes.
Okay, now the way you say yes, now how you should talk, because when you waste time, then you'll be listening to the receiver. So you're live now with me. So go ahead and ask your question.
It's not.
I know he's not picking up. Go ahead and answer the question.
Okay, yes. Let's take it as an individual. I have said it before that President Weah had been my friend when he was playing soccer. Throughout, even though at the time I was a student, even with the hardship, I would have to fight to go and watch him playing soccer. But when he decided to get into politics, I told my colleagues clearly that I don't know his political skill. So for that reason, I can't really force to say that he has a leadership ability to take over. But one thing that I believe in as an individual is that I believe in predestination. What had destined to happen will happen. He was destined to rise to become a soccer star, and now he has made a history to become the president. What is very much important, where I had to meet him and I will advise him, is to look at Liberia more like himself, because to come from nowhere and reach to the top, it means that there have been an opportunity given him by other people. So he needs to also give opportunity to people who can also help him to build a country. The real thing that there is that he needs to to look beyond his scope of team or friends and find people, the best people to do the best job for him for his 6 years term. Because like I said before, his transition was hastily done. Those are some of the challenges he faced with. Let me say, even the simple production, in terms of simple production, if you got a company and you fire the manager immediately and change the senior staff and just recruit new people, your production will decline. That's the first problem Liberia faced. So by changing the entire administration and the entire bureaucracy from minister, assistant minister to director to be fired on the very day to replace them with a new group, you don't expect him to pick up immediately. So that was the first challenge he had as a leader. He needed to have reviewed that decision. The next thing that I don't think I'm going to challenge him much, but what I can say now is that he needs to review his cabinet and restructure the government so that he can get a new team to move the country forward.
Okay, let's go back to the telephone line. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, you live on the radio. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, my question to Mr. Zuo is very simple.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Zuo, this is Jake Alper Howard, and I'm enjoying what you're saying. But by the same token, you mentioned service, and you equated service to the church.
Mr. Howard, keep speaking. Do not listen to the receiver.
Yeah, you equated service to the church, but then you talk about being hasty as far as the. What did your office do to leave a placemat for the person that was going to replace you?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good question. For me, in terms of the translation, the good thing is that the president, President Sali, informed everybody to do a turnover note. And besides that, personally, as a professional person, I do my monthly report and quarterly report and do my annual report. So I just summarize what is there and set a priority and do the turnover note and give it to the minister. Besides the one that is given in the ministry, I also have one that I'll be giving to my successor. And interestingly, my successor is a friend of mine. I called him. In fact, I usually call. I said, "Do you need anything? Can we be of any help?" The thing that there is that I said service to government is almost like service to God, because next to God on earth is government. So if you have been chosen to serve in government, and what I tell people, when the 4 years I spent in government, I tell my staff every day, I will deal with you as though it's my last day dealing with you, because I serve at the will and pleasure of president. Therefore, my work should be decent. So when I leave, someone comes and see it. So those who are there, I'm challenging them to know that they've been set apart. So they should be very much, careful and committed to what they've been chosen to do. So my departure was something that was written 1 month ahead of time.
Okay.
In the first place, I turned in government car a month before the administration. I started using my private car. So I got used to my private life as a classroom teacher.
And again, if you own a business out there, then you want us to promote your business, just let us know. Go to Bridge Radio Africa, then our Facebook page. Just drop off the message, and somebody will reach out to you. We don't ask you, we don't charge, but we ask for a little donation just for the upkeep of the radio station. As you just heard in the previous promo, we, as of next week, we'll be in Liberia now on 2 of the local radio stations. And we'll have more stations that will want to carry out our program. And this is just a good thing now that we are transitioning from Facebook to the real voters on the ground. This is a big deal. And we just want to say a big thank you to your support, what you've done for Bridge Radio. I also want to say a big thank you to God for giving us the privilege and opportunity for us to be here. And the fact that people are still craving to hear our voice in Liberia, despite the many decades we've been in the business. I mean, we still have something left in the tank. In the meantime, I going to go into Liberian politics now. So in just a little bit. These days, everything seems difficult in Liberia. Traveling to Monrovia, buying things, and even getting around town. But one thing stands up above the rest, and finding a perfect place to stay. Whether you live in the United States or Liberia, OBG Real Estate Company is your best option for buying, building, or listing your home in Liberia. With over $25 million in insurance on our business, you can sleep at night knowing when you buy or rent a property in Liberia. With OBG Real Estate, you will have peace of mind and sleep at night. For more information, please contact OBG Real Estate at 810-333-3955 or 810-986-7089. We can also be reached at otovius@yahoo.com. But hey, okay, and folks, we're back, and we're back with our special guest tonight, Honorable Zuo. Want to say a big thank you for taking up time of your busy schedule just to be part of the program tonight. And again, folks, if you just are joining us, we have gone a little over an hour on the program, the ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. And we want to dive into a little bit of Liberian politics now, as we have with us Mr. Zuo. Now, Mr. Zuo, the CPP is likely to succeed the CDC in 2023. Now, recently, the CPP had its primary in Nimba and other parts of the country, but specifically in Nimba, the primary ended in chaos. What makes the CPP different from the CDC with such conduct?
Thank you. One thing that I would want to say is that as member of the Unity Party, I've not given up to say that the country itself remains my country and remains all of us home. Whether the CPP remains an alternative depends on leadership. Liberia, and in fact, the whole of Africa has serious leadership gap and leadership challenge. So what is important is for us to focus on how we can put in place the right leader, not only presidency, at the local level and the House of Legislature, even the judiciary. If you have a very good leader, they'll be making good decisions in terms of the interpretation of the law. We have good leader in the House of Legislature, they will be making good laws and not talking about individual. So it's something that all of us are concerned about. I personally have not really been excited about the CPP because the way the documents came out and people will say, no, this is not the right version, this is the other version. So what I said personally was that, look, the CPP should not be all about presidency. Because this is where, even as we watch today, this is where we see the CDC failing. Because here's the situation. We were all saying President George Weah should be president, George Weah should be president. But President Weah has succeeded. Where are the other people? Where are the skills people? Where are the regular Liberians that will know that, oh, these guys, they got a country, where are they? You don't see them. So it shouldn't be the same thing with CPP, because CPP should not be about Obama presidency, Cummings presidency, or we talk about Bernard Ure presidency or vice presidency, whatever the thing is. We should structure it in such a way that at a local level, my concern was, which I expressed it to them, is that these political parties that constitute the CPP must have had their membership at a local level in the various county. In terms of making decisions on who become a candidate, You should look at which political party, first of all, has majority control in the county or in the district. And if they have a candidate, then that candidate should be a preferred candidate. It shouldn't be about dividing county. The idea of dividing county make it appear that you own a property. Ownership versus leadership, you always have a challenge in there. You can own something and you cannot be a good leader, it will damage. You cannot own something if you don't own something, but you can be a good leader and you can manage other people's things and lead it and almost have what we call sweat equity. You ought to own it. So it's not possible that because, for example, Unity Party is just immediate past ruling party will have control of 15 countries. No, it's not possible. Equally so, ANC, not because the political leader is a man with money, he has people across the country. No. So they needed to have, first of all, review across the country and see where their strengths are, where can they really beef up each other's strength before they make a decision on a candidate. So in terms of the one that happened in NEMA, I said from the beginning that the decision was originally NEMA is a home of Action Party. You know, political parties in Liberia have base. Jackson F. Doe established Liberian Action Party, so that 3 major counties that Action Party was popular in before the war. NEMA, Cape Mount, because Emmanuel Kromah as a chair of the Action Party from Cape Mount, and Monserrado itself. So you will see that itself is where they have the control. You also look at ANC. ANC realistically is still diaspora based, strong, and Morovia based. It has not really gotten root in the rural area. ALP, we can say Monserrado, Pablo, and Magibi. So it's something that they need to sit and review it and say, okay, oh, I have a partisan in Maryland, and this guy is in control, and he has more influence. Then they make a decision. It doesn't have to be a party, only a county. So when they made the decision and went to NEMA, I think the young man, Ty, had been doing his work with the young people. And most often I tell people the Facebook nowadays have made everybody a politician. So he's a guy who always on the Facebook, I've been following up development. And some part of NEMA, he go and talk to the farmers and the old people as well. But when it comes to, for me, I always do my statistics, I do my survey, and just do a sample call. Even I do the same thing in Bapuru. I did the same thing in Bapuru recently. All the countries. I've been teaching at a university of Liberia, the NEMA community, all the places. So I got people I'll call and say, what do you think? So Ty is not ready. The first survey, he came 4th in the whole. The second one stayed 4th. So meaning that other candidates are ahead of him. So in making decision, they needed to have done a survey to make that decision.
Now, but it was also reported that supporters of senatorial aspirant Edith Gonglo were attacked. The supporters of senatorial aspirant Tai Wonwe. Now, how do you explain that the winner, Edith Gonglo, will attack the loser, Tai Wonwe?
In the first place, what I gathered from the journalists, 2 journalists that I interviewed, because the first thing I wanted to get outside opinion instead of asking partisan, before asking the ANC guy, before asking the Liberty Party and the rest of the people. The first thing, the incident took place in the hall was due to complete lack of order. Banas Gonglo came on stage with her supporter, and once a candidate arrived, normally candidate will be seated, supporter be seated, then he announced the arrival of the next candidate. And her people remain on stage while Tai on the group started coming in. And according to the journalist, he said, realistically, that was the beginning of the whole tension. So when he saw the people rushing in and some of the star supporters were rushing to Madam Gongo, it was when Madam Gongo people decided to block and how the tension started. And I later called, in fact, I called Ty twice to talk to him and talk to Edith and the rest of them, because people are very sensitive to situation. When it comes to Nema County, every time, oh, violence in Nema. And sometimes those of us, we kind of forgot to embarrass and say, oh my God, this is home again, my people, what do we do? So it's
CDC needs sweet now because CDC got other. Now it is also rumored that this was orchestrated by CDC. In other words, the CPP primary was infiltrated by members of CDC using cash violence. What is your take on that? Now that you have people in Nema that you once in a while conduct surveys and stuff.
What I said the other day, I said to them that why you people are bringing this up, you bring this issue up, I feel it's lack of leadership. If CDC happened to, or Jeremiah, whatever Kennedy happened to infuse money into the system, the first thing is that the preparation of the primary should actually clearly indicate the perimeter for voters and the perimeter for delegates and all partisans that are going there, who are eligible to go in the hall and who are eligible to actually be in the surrounding. So you can't blame, even if CDC happened to pay someone, would this person be a partisan of ANC to go all the way in? If so, then how do you really consider him your partisan when he's been taking instruction from another party? So I think it's lack of leadership. I don't want to take that.
Well, any different now, CPP will come up with a decision as to who will go as the candidate for CPP. Edith Gonglowe and Ta Wombe, who stands a better chance of winning the senatorial race and why? I know you've conducted series of surveys in Nema because of your interest in the county.
Realistically, when it comes to Kennedy, right now in the county, the CDC Kennedy is in the lead, which is the MDR, but CDC Kennedy is in the lead. And between Ty and Edith will definitely win. Besides the convention, as I told the ANC, one of the ANC representatives yesterday, is that you have Unity Party, 100% behind Edith, Liberty Party, so ALP is also supported. So if you go back for rerun, you will still not make it. If you look at a voter perception survey that was conducted, Edith won by wide margin. So there's no need to ask the question, because automatically, once you did a survey by an independent group, it's not the political party, and still indicated that she's in the lead, it's clear that she will actually be a preferred candidate over Ty when it comes to the CPP. So I don't know why will you have a voter perception survey still showing that yes, she's in the lead, then you still want to go to primary, and now the primary is going that way. But either will still lead. In terms of the county-wide election, it's getting to be very exciting and very interesting, because Liberian politics is marked by this section, regional, and all of these things. The county is now being divided. So what is important that if you look at the Ide Konglo, the Tawambe, and Thomas Gupi, all of these people are all from lower side of Nema. If you look at it, the population-wise, they don't have that high population compared to Upper Nema. Then on the upper side, you also have three candidates now. You have Garrison Yellow, you have Senator Dolo, former Senator, in fact, still called Senator Dolo, according to group, I say. Senator Dolo, he was Adolfo Dolo is still in the race, and you have Jeremiah Kuhn. So there's no need for, the only thing you can do now as a political party to the CPP, we need to settle down on one candidate and run the campaign. And it is for me, I'm sorry that people say I have a biased view, because the reason there is that I'm looking for a female candidate. I need a female leader to be among the 11 men in Nemba County. At least that should be. If we can get three women, 2 representatives, and 1 senator in a house, I will be very happy in 2023.
Zul, in our studio tonight, and of course, making his presence known. I mean, you're doing such an awesome job so far, Honorable Zul. I want to say thank you to that. Now, on the CPP, the Unity Party has a new leadership. What do you make of the new team from the Unity Party?
The Unity Party leadership is something interesting that we have to look at. I know Amin Modan happened to be a friend. I also know Daba. The decision is something that we have to look at it carefully. In as much as we need a change in leadership, at the same time, we also have to be very cautious of what happened to other discouraged partisans. Amin Moda is an entrepreneur, and I said jokingly to him, I said he become politician. The good thing is going to be a crafty guy in terms of making plans, assuming that he's going to do a political plan. We have 2 entrepreneurs taking a top position. Daba is also an entrepreneur. In terms of creativity to bring on board other resources will be the good thing. But we also have to be cognizant of the political issue that have to do with constituency. Certain constituency might feel okay because a new administration is not reaching out to us. We may not give support. We will join another political party. So it's something that he needs to be the reconciler to open door and be more a friendly guy who will be opening a line of communication to all the county leaders in all the counties and visiting all the counties. The good thing he told me was that he went to all the counties before the election, and he's going to focus on all the county chairmen to see how best he remain a strong leader. Because he's a Morovia-based guy. And Unity Party strength has not really been Morovia. It is CDC that got its strength in Morovia. So the best advantage you can do now is to see how best you can reconnect the rural part of Liberia.
Now, besides connecting the rural part of Liberia, how does he bring the partisans together?
He needs to first of all communicate. Even though people still look at it, the former standard bearer and the current standard bearer, the former chairman, which is also 2 former chairman Running Sharma and Chairman Womope. All of these people, he needs to bring all of them on board and see how best we can look at the common good of the Liberian people. Because one thing I know is that the wake-up call, which is a rooster that you see on the logo there, when I have my own historical analysis those days on Action Party, the idea was rooster wake people up. It's a wake-up call, wake up and do something good for yourself. So he needs to get back and give all of these people a wake-up call to say, look, you know what? We had the opportunity for 12 years. We did not do all that the people anticipated, and we made some mistake during the past 12 years. We made a lot of gains in certain areas, but here it is. Things are going the wrong way. Whatever differences that we have caused us more harm because the country is now in CDC here and the Liberian people are not happy. So he needs to start a conversation with the higher up leaders. And that itself will help. It will help the partisan to come on board. So that would be my first challenge to him. And he can do it because You see, even the in member, Edith Gongro was in the Unity Party. You see the Harrison Conway, all of them go to Liberty Party, but they're all in Unity Party or Action Party members. You know, so it's time now that he needs to go back and see how best to reach out to these people.
Okay, we want to just tell the folks that as of next week, we will be in Liberia. Don't take my word for it. Listen to this guy.
Broadcast syndication is just the easiest way to reach the entire country. Join Brace Radio Africa in collaboration with Super FM 95.5, Super TV Channel 10, and Joy FM 101.5 for ASHFORD GARLEY Live. Chat with the newsmakers, businesses, and social organizations. Starting Monday, September 21st, the program comes on Mondays and Wednesdays, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Liberian Time, with the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of Liberia. ASHFORD the Giant, the Now You Know Me Garley. That's ASHFORD GARLEY Live on Brace Radio Africa in collaboration with Super FM 95.5, Super TV Channel 10, and Joy FM 101.5. Broadcast syndication is in full effect. This is not a game. Not for no, that Now You Know Me.
And what that means is that on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll be on here from 2 Eastern Time in America, and that'll be 6 p.m. in Liberia. So we'll go from 2 to 3:30, and then in Liberia we'll go from 6 to 7:30, because the people in Liberia are craving. They want to hear us as well. And of course, a big thank you to all of you that have made it possible for the many months that we've done this. We are taking our play down to the actual voters on the ground so that we can have some stake in this thing as we approach these elections. Finally, before we go tonight, Honorable Zoel, the Liberty Party is also going through transformation within the leadership. The chairman accused the political leader of undermining his leadership. Is the Liberty Party disintegrating?
Yes, you know, let me say this, it's obvious in Liberia. Excuse me. During political crisis, people will always have views. So that is a normal tendency. I know they will settle it. The same thing in the Unity Party and all across the country. So when I listened to that on Facebook, I said that they will resolve it. And these are mature leaders. They are all senators. They will meet at the House of Legislature and also look at the House of Elder and make decisions. So that's what I want to say. I want to also encourage them that leadership is very much important. Whatever role you play in leadership affects your people, your followers, your nation as a country. Before I leave, we were talking about AU, and I know you brought in other questions, but I want to go back to the relevance of Liberia at the AU. You know, simple thing that we need to look at, and we sometimes people overlook it. During the Ebola, when I was the assistant minister, the foreign minister, Augustine Gaffon, went to the AU and addressed the AU. AU was the first group before the United States would use Central. They sent to Liberia. The ISWA, the African Union support group, and they came to Liberia and remained there after the Ebola crisis. And they actually do what we call knowledge transfer, because they were assigned to hospitals and they worked with Liberian doctors. Besides that, Liberia had an opportunity to actually serve on the African CDC because of our role in the AU. Besides just serving on the Peace and Security Council, the Africa CDC, and to my recollection, I remember we nominated Tobo Yunsion at the time to be the second in command at the AU African CDC. So these are things that Liberia need to pay attention to. You know, unfortunately, Tobo Yunsion got to leave the country and all of these things. These are some of the opportunities we are losing. And it's important for us to go back to AU and regularize our membership, because when you are under comprehensive sanction, it's difficult for you to even hold a position. So we need to just, I'm appealing to President Weah to see the need to really look at AU, very seriously. We need ambassador at the headquarters. We need to regularize our membership and regain our status, because we have led decision there on many occasions. So,
Okay, my man. Want to say a big thank you and for taking enough time of your schedule. Just so you know that this is your home. Anytime you know with your passion for the economy, I know you will. This will not be your last time coming on yet. So the next time you come, perhaps we can have you team up with Sam P. Jackson for you guys to talk some.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. In fact, for me, I'm very privileged at time to discuss with Sam Jackson. I can't call it privileged because Sam Jackson is a senior man. These are older brothers that we heard their name those days, and engaging him sometimes. I sometimes like to be on the platform with him. It's almost the same time that my first time entering Liberia, when I met Baron Todd the first time, sitting down at the table with Baron Todd to discuss about Liberian economy, I said, wow, is it me talking with Baron Todd? So when I hear Sam Jackson, I like to engage him. And he and I have been on focus on Liberia.
If this is you are always you feel and appear comfortable tonight. Have we met before?
Yeah, I remember. I remember seeing you in Morovia before, back in the 90s, though.
Oh, yes. That's over 25 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, that's well back there. But I know the voice, ASHFORD, the giant Garley. I used to listen to him. I met him on many occasions when we were running a little business in front of immigration, assistant tech. And I used to stop by there with Edith Jackson. I know ASHFORD, and in fact, the name Jerome Chidi, ASHFORD Garley, these are guys that we used to listen to all the time. And Zabi, remember Zabi? In fact, he and I always chatting. Zabi and I can always chat on Facebook. But it's good hearing you tonight, and it's a good opportunity for me. To be very frank, I've been wanting to speak with you direct when I listened to my former boss, Jerome Verdier. It was my first time. He didn't want actually me to listen to your program. He was coming on air and just linked me, and I listened to it and said, oh, wow, I didn't know that this guy got a wide audience. So it's a good opportunity. Thank you so much. And I want to encourage you as you go to Liberia, radio development communication is very important. And sometimes Liberia, the reading public is very low and the listening public is very wide. So your messages will make more impact as you go to Liberia. And I want to encourage you to do that. I will definitely give support. What we are doing now, you're talking about advertisement. A colleague of mine and myself, the former Minister of Finance, Kwame Kamara, we are actually getting involved with research work in the country. We've done the first publication. We come to do a second one. And right now, he's been appointed as Executive Director for Liberia Professional Group for Development. And we're going to be working together to be doing more writing on Liberian economy.
You didn't link when we need to come on the show,
Yes, we did the first one on the monetary policy. It's coming on the West African journal, and we're doing another one now on the budgeting, the fiscal side on the budgeting process. So these things we're going to be coming out to discuss with you, and also that will be a good opportunity for us to engage our Liberian people.
That's a good thing.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you so much.
Oh, man. And folks, I'm afraid it's all the time I have to be with you tonight. I'm excited because finally we are going to be in Monrovia, Liberia, and other parts of the country. Starting next week on Joy 101.5 Joy FM and 95.5 Super FM and Super TV Channel 10 as well. Space Radio in collabo with the locals in Liberia. A big thank you to the producers the analysts, for what you've done and continue to do for British Radio Africa. And folks, please allow me to borrow the wordings of the wise man. Abebo Fofanen, Lofa Juliet, how you guys doing tonight? Welcome Sandolo, Smith Dawie. Me, I can't taste stuff back. And now the other people who can retract it now. So if it depends on me to reach out to you're missing the boat. That's me that way. Alice Jones, Joseph Shah Thomas, Abu, Bebito Fofanen. Folks, tough time don't last. Tough people do. The heart of a man is never known until he rises. And there's no second chance to make that first impression. Don't see okra and swallow bone because you can't hide your nakedness from beef and bucket. But God bless you, don't see that medicine. When white men know you friend black man. When you see catfish come from underneath the water and say the crocodile here sweating, don't say that lie. That's all the time I have to be with you. This has been yours truly, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of Liberia on the golden mic. Ask for the giant that now you know me, Garlery. Have a good night.